I'd always thought that Texas was for meat eaters and I would struggle to find anything to eat that was vegan or vegetarian, but I was wrong. Welcome back to the Leaf and Luggage. I'm so excited to share our latest adventure with you, where we went on a road trip from Chicago to Dallas. Now, if you follow this channel, you know our mission. We're proving that you can find incredible vegan and vegetarian eats no matter where the road takes you, even in the heart of barbecue country. We set off on a Thursday evening, chasing the sunset south with a goal to hit Dallas by Saturday night. Buckle up because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Our first stop was Kansas City. On the way to the hotel, we decided to stop off at Zombie Burger in Des Moines, as they do a few vegan burgers. It took us a few minutes to find street parking, and we ended up parking a short walk away from the restaurant, only to realise there was parking right outside. In the Zombie Burger restaurant, I love the horror theme throughout, as I'm a fan of horrors, as long as they're not too scary. For food, I had the Undead Glen with vegan cheese. You do have to pay more for the vegan cheese compared to the non-vegan cheese, but I find that this is pretty common, that you get charged more for vegan options. They also do lots of milkshakes if you're not vegan. My husband tried the cookies and cake shake, which he enjoyed. It was really filling, so he passed on the desserts. I did too. Once we'd had our food, we carried on with our road trip as we still had to get to Kansas City. We finally arrived in Kansas City well after dark, and let's just say the local Roadworks had other plans for our arrival time. We took a wrong turn, and if it wasn't for maps, we'd probably still be driving around the city. However, we eventually made it to our hotel, and I have to say, seeing the valet was a huge relief. It meant we didn't have to hunt for parking in the dark. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of driving in the dark. And while my husband was the one behind the wheel, I'm famously not a great passenger either. We were both just very ready to check in and see that room. The next day we explored Kansas City and stayed on Main Street, where we found Protein House that had vegan options. I had the vegan pancakes and they were amazing. We continued wandering around and they had lots of places to eat with vegan and vegetarian choices. We walked to Union Station and the National World War I Museum and Memorial. It was so hot compared to Chicago and the weather was lovely. We stopped off at an Irish bar and had some nachos, which they made vegetarian for us, as they came with beef or chicken, and we had to have a Guinness. The person who worked there, who looked after us, was also very nice and made us feel very welcome. It was called the KC Hooley Bar, and I recommend dropping by if you're in the area. Another bar and restaurant which I loved in Kansas City was the Palm Tree Club. This felt like you could be on holiday somewhere like Ibiza, with the music and the atmosphere. I had a margarita pizza. The next morning we continued with our road trip. We stopped at a Love's gas station where they had a Subway. I ordered the salads to keep it as plant-based as possible, minus the bread. We then continued with the drive to Wichita, which was great. We went to the Keeper of the Plains Monument, which was very interesting, and I loved the river. Our next stop was Oklahoma. We stopped briefly in the city and saw the Scissortail Park. We managed to find street parking next to the park, which was lucky as it was really busy. We also had some water and a coffee from a coffee shop that was across the road. We arrived at Dallas that evening after dark. It was so busy on the roads getting into downtown Dallas. I'm glad I wasn't driving, but I did help with directions getting to the hotel, even if it was only reading Google Maps. We stayed at the Aloft Hotel. We've stayed at Aloft hotels before and I find they're nice hotels. This particular hotel in Dallas was pet friendly and they had a pet station for dogs, which is great if you're taking your dog with you. The next day we explored Dallas. We found a lovely cafe called Commissary and they did great vegan options. I had chai coconut oatmeal, which was so nice, and a latte with almond milk. My husband had the egg and cheese bagel with an Americano. We then walked around and saw the art district and the JFK monument. Later on, we went to the Klyde Warren Park and there were lots of street trucks. One or two of them had vegan and vegetarian options. I had a mango sorbet and my husband had mint choc chip ice cream. They were both very nice. After spending the day exploring, we made our way back to the hotel to get ready for dinner. Dinner was at the Hampton Social, which again was very nice, and I had the crispy coconut tofu, which was lovely. The next day, we had to leave Dallas and headed back to the airport for our flight back to Chicago. I was pleasantly surprised by this trip. From Des Moines to Dallas, they all offered something great, whether that was a vegan option or great weather and scenery. Dallas definitely wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was a great city and the people we met were friendly. I thought it would consist of Texas barbecue and meats, but they had great vegan and vegetarian options which suited me, and I would like to go back to Dallas again at some point. If you enjoyed this video, then save, share and subscribe, and join me again next time for more tips and reviews from the Leaf and Luggage. Travel further, eat better.